What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks, powered by Living in Colorado, the Mile High Perspective. And with me, as always, I have
Oscar Barra.
And I am Jameson Amros. We have some cool representatives today and a couple of special guests, if you guys are watching the show. To my left, I have Jason Keefer from Rocky Mountain Steel Piering. And basically, give me a rundown of what you guys do.
Yeah, foundational repair and structural support.
That is very important when it comes to real estate. I also have Jordan Ortega from Remax and the Griffith Home Team with us today. Jordan, tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I've been doing real estate for about 6 years now. I really do a lot with new construction, and I really pride myself with my first-time home buyers, which I just think that, helping out when people need it the most is, pretty important for me. So that's where I get a lot of satisfaction, is helping those first-time home buyers and new construction stuff. So
yeah, man. No, I think and it's cool because we have a couple of first-time home buyer, I would say expert here with Jordan, and we've got Jason to talk to us today because we all know, and Oscar, you can attest to this, that first-time home buyers get a little jumpy when it comes to buying houses, and there's some things that can show up as you walk through a home that can be very scary. So
Absolutely, and just to piggyback on that, I think the foundation is not just first-time home buyers. It is scary even to us. I mean, 20 years in, I see foundation issues, and I'm like, whoa, all right, we need to bring in the experts. It's no nonsense, because it could be very expensive, like we were talking earlier, but you have the right people, maybe not.
Yeah, so on today's episode, what we want to do for you guys is we want to walk through the different things to look for from a foundation standpoint. We want to kind of take the big scary and hopefully, with Jason's help, with Jordan's help, and with our experience combined, make it, just less scary, right? Give you guys some things to look for. Preventative maintenance we'll talk about a lot. We'll talk about some of the big risks. We'll talk about cost. And that way, as you guys are walking through homes, and kind of looking at, just some different things that are standing out. Cracks, foundation shifts, heaving. We want to kind of peel the veil back and let you guys kind of walk through those homes with confidence, and give you guys a resource in Jason and his company as well in Colorado here you can reach out to. So that being said, if you guys are fans of the show, you know that not only do we talk real estate and we help you guys, and you guys are brand new.
Yes,
we
sir.
drink bourbon.
Yes.
It might hurt a little bit today for Oscar and I.
Yeah, we kind of. I'm going to blame Wardell.
Yeah, Wardell, Stephen Curry. Yeah, we. We'll put it this way: we had some 20-year Pappy last night, and Oscar doesn't remember tasting it necessarily.
We needed to go home after the game.
So we should have gone home,
Jameson,
but we didn't. And you know what? We're here.
Fortunately and unfortunately, Jameson made friends with a bartender that has a pretty cool bar downtown.
Yes. Yeah. Shout out Nearby Bar.
Yes,
by the way. If
he
you guys
was
are
very,
on
very
20th and
gracious
Platte, you should check it out.
to show us a bunch of bourbons. But at that point, I had a few bourbons because we were at the Nuggets game, and I don't remember. He could have just gave me some Jack Daniels, and I would have been like,
I saw the bottle. Have you guys been there?
No, I know. I'm sure it was.
No, never been there.
I feel bad, is what I'm saying.
I feel great.
I feel bad because I don't remember the Pappy.
I know, it was good though.
How do you not remember the Pappy, man? Come on, dude. You can't disrespect Pappies like that.
I know.
Man.
I was overserved.
You were not overserved.
Probably mixing your Pappies with Coke while you're at it.
Hey, but you know what? We were responsible. We Ubered home. We made it home. It was good.
Yep, it was fine. It was fine.
And the Nuggets won. So
and the Nuggets
you forgot
won.
the best part.
It was a great game.
Come on.
He was calling me. He was like, "It's going to be a buzzer beater." It was
close.
It was close.
I thought I was going to be on a heater.
It was back.
So yeah, I apologize for my voice today if it's not as
Yeah, if we're not as lively.
Yeah, we're not as loud. That's why.
It was a good night last night. It was it was fun.
But hey, so as I said, we are here at the behest of the Rouge.
Hey, and where's Charlie? For those of you that are watching, Charlie's not in the shot.
Charlie's going back to his producer role today. So he's behind the scenes.
Love you, Charlie. I miss you.
But he's still here, so don't worry. He hasn't gone anywhere. And as always, we are sponsored by the Rouge Wine and Bourbon Bistro.
Yes.
We're here right off of Arapahoe Road and I-25. If you guys haven't been to the spot and you guys are bourbon heads or just like fine cocktails,
wine,
great ambiance, great food, please come check it out. They're open every day at 2 p.m. They've got special events that they host every other weekend, bourbon tastings, and as always, we're super blessed to be able to be here. And
their brunch is great.
You gentlemen join us
I'll
as
just
well.
chime in here. I'm a big bourbon lover. I've been to a lot of different bourbon bars, and This is my only second time here, but I got to say it's one of the cleanest, more fun ambiances, and I got to say their bourbon selection's out of
Dude,
this
it's
world.
out of this
so
world, man.
bonkers.
definitely thumbs up for these folks, and I appreciate
Yeah.
you for having us here today.
Jason,
Beautiful.
are you a bourbon guy?
Absolutely.
See,
And the wine wall is impeccable.
the wine
Oh, yeah.
wall, right?
Man, oh man.
I
He
think
showed
it's-
us around, and the ambiance, it's a nice establishment.
It is, man. It's
They've
great.
done it. It's very
It's
tasty.
kind of a little
They do a great
hidden
job.
gem.
It is a
We
hidden.
got to make it
Absolutely.
unhidden. You guys
Yeah.
need to come down.
We
check
have
them
to
out.
discover it. So, that being said, as always, while we go through this discussion, and it is a scary discussion, so I think it's fitting that we're tasting some bourbon today, right? We have a WhistlePig piggyback. Thank you, Oscar. Single barrel, aged 6 years. And this is brand new from WhistlePig. It just came out this year. So it's a brand new release. None of us have had it yet, so we're excited to kind of taste it and to kind of give you guys a rundown. You know, we'll give you guys our first thoughts on the bourbon. We'll go into our topic with Jason and Rocky Mountain Steel Piering and talk through it. And at the end, as always, we will give you guys our honest review. And I'm excited to have these gentlemen here because it's nice to have some new blood.
You know,
Oh, now
tasting
we're
some
new
bourbon
blood
and
over
I'm
here.
you know what I'm saying?
as a realtor, it is always comforting, if you will, to have structural people around.
Hell yeah.
Just because we're not engineers.
To
No.
piggyback off that, I
Piggyback.
actually
We're going to use that all day
I
today.
just
That's gonna
yeah.
be-
Hey,
is there gonna
piggyback.
be
Anyways,
a counter for that?
I took it one step further. He's my neighbor 4 houses down, so I got
Okay,
that
so
help
you're
right
right down
next
the street
door.
from me.
He's
I'll be
in.
like, Jason.
That's right.
Yeah,
We're all in
exactly.
Crystal Valley in this crew right
Yeah,
here.
we
You're
won't be
a friendly
leaking any
expert.
addresses just to make sure that you guys don't get bugged too much. But we'll,
all you get.
Oh, we're neighbors, man.
Yeah, but
I
at the
didn't
end,
know you were that
we'll have
close.
Jason give you guys his contact information as well. And I mean, he's been fantastic just being able to go out, and we'll talk a little bit more about his ability to go out and at least give a professional opinion before something horrible happens. But that being said, Jason, if you want to just kind of run through Rocky Mountain Steel Piering's history, how you guys were formed, what you guys do, and while you do that, introduce yourself and the company. I will pour us our first sips of this bourbon.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Excellent.
Absolutely. So we were the conception date of 1996. My dad started this company after working for a geotechnical firm. And we started with the goal of moral and ethical obligations in the foundation repair and helical pier industry. So we've been rocking and rolling ever since. And it's been a great, great trip, great adventure. I came back here after living outside in Virginia. I was a deputy sheriff over there for a handful of years. And came back here and started to work with him a little bit more and try to change the world. That was when a bunch of these other companies started to change their marketing tactics and how they conducted themselves in business.
So you were a deputy sheriff, huh?
I was a patrol deputy sheriff outside of D.C.
How'd you like that? Outside of DC.
It was an
There's Charlie.
adventure.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah. You learn a lot. You learn how to treat people. You learn how to communicate.
I'm gonna say, what's the Dave Chappelle? DC's a rough city, man.
Yeah.
It's a rough city, man.
No,
It is.
One of my really good friends. He's like a brother. He's a cop over in Castle Rock. He
Yes?
just moved, he just
Yeah.
moved over from Houston. Moved him down here, and
Thank you.
I have a lot of my family are law enforcement.
It was a great step in life. It taught me a lot. It educated me and helped me grow into a better person. Then once I got married, we decided we were going to have kids. I needed to figure out a better next step.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and not to get too weird about it.
But you're about to.
I
he's
am.
gonna do it
I am.
anyways,
I'm
right?
gonna do it anyway because that's what I do. Regardless of how you feel about law enforcement, because most people, cops and other people, they're still someone's family member.
Absolutely.
Someone's wife, someone's husband, someone's brother, someone's sister, and they go out there and they lay their life on the line to make sure we're okay.
Yep.
But they're still human beings, and that's kind of where I've always stood because they're family to me. I mean, they're my family members, right? And I'm like, I just stay quiet sometimes because people sometimes don't like law enforcement. But at the end of the day, there's bad apples like in everything. So I get it. So
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. And
Yeah.
then again, to my right, Jordan Ortega from Remax.
Cheers.
So Jordan, give me a quick rundown, man. What's your background? How long you been in the business? What brought you into the business?
Yeah, so definitely been a part of the retail life, and that's been a big part of my.
Amen, brother.
The Best Buy thing, AT&T. Always in leadership type roles, and I got to be honest, I absolutely loved it. I learned a lot about negotiations, just how to be there to guide your people through whether it be a purchase and now a house even at this point.
Yep.
And I think I took a lot of those skill sets and was able to translate that into real estate and really hit the ground running. So
Awesome.
that was really cool for me. But yeah, now I've been, like I said, real estate for about 6 years. I've helped out hundreds of people at this point. And I think my first 2 years were essentially all first-time home buyers. It's really tough when you first start out to, hey, I want to sell your $1 million home. Like, I can be eager and excited, but the experience is key.
Yeah.
And I think working with the first-time home buyers has really gotten me through a point where, heck, there's nothing that really scares me. I'm basically ready for all the challenges. Definitely was a first time with the structural repair and things. I didn't even know anything about a home at that point. So really, I really dove deep into my partnerships, including Jason Keefer and his company, to not only educate me, just to make things make more sense of why things do the things they do, and how like a house is always probably going to move. We're on concrete and we're on soils. Things happen, and it's just really good to have a better understanding, education piece on that to help out my clients. So.
Awesome, man.
You know,
No,
first
we're
time-
excited. We're excited to have you guys here.
First-time home buyers is great because it's longevity because
Yeah.
first-time home,
That's
they're
right.
going to call you, selling their next home.
That's right.
So I did a lot of first-time home buyers, and I enjoyed it a lot too. I agree with that.
They're a skittish bunch. I will tell you that much. So it's good to have like Jordan said though. It's good to have those partnerships to lean on and say, hey, here's the deal.
Obviously, you two know each other for a while.
I mean, a little bit.
Am I the only one out of like all of your groups that didn't work at Best Buy?
Probably.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
damn
so.
close.
I think
Worked
so.
at
I
Best-
think
Best
so.
Buy. Every time I'm there, I'm like, you two?
Yeah. Oh, dude, Best Buy.
Everybody came
yeah.
from Best Buy.
Yeah. Hey, it's the foundation of our careers. But no, we're excited to have both of you gentlemen here, and I'm excited to get you guys' opinions on this. So to give you guys, since you're first timers, we want to kind of sniff it. I want to get you guys' thoughts on the palate that you guys you're sensing. We'll take some sips. We'll sip it through the podcast, and at the very end, for those of you guys that aren't familiar, we'll give it a rock rating, which essentially we rate the bourbon from 1 rock to 10 rock. 1 rock being the best, 10 rocks being the worst, because the more ice you put in a bourbon, usually the shittier it is.
Makes sense. Yep.
That being said, WhistlePig, single barrel, piggyback,
Okay.
aged 6 years in New American oak barrels, as well as oath barrels, which are gin barrels from Finland. So I feel like it's going to be interesting. I'm going to get my notes. Let me know what you guys think.
I've only
smell.
purchased.
The smell
The smell is
immediately
unique.
slaps you in the face.
It's very unique.
I
The
think it's
smell-
that gin coming
the smell
out.
took me back to last night.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
a little
What
bit.
a Nuggets
whoa,
win.
whoa,
A little bit. Yeah, it's
What's the proof?
100.
100 proof.
Yeah. Heavy on the wood, for
It
sure.
is very heavy on the oak. But I get that gin like that.
The gin
It's
slapping
almost
me
like
right in the
right-
face right
yeah.
now. Like
It's
that's
almost,
what I
it's almost like a single malt smell.
could see that. Could see
but-
that.
Yeah, I mean it's very spicy,
Spicy and
Yeah.
floral, but like
kind of like
Like
a juniper berry kind
Yes.
of. Yeah.
Yes.
So I see where they're coming with the gin, and again, it's
I've actually never had anything aged in gin barrels.
Neither-
so this
no,
is
neither have I.
pretty unique for
Yeah,
me.
neither have
I
I.
typically I'm
This
like a
is-
weeded bourbon type of guy, but this is
this
really
smells very different than
different.
than any bourbon I've yeah.
yeah. I mean, and I don't.
Ooh,
I mean,
it's pretty
WhistlePig,
smooth actually.
It's not cheap, so I've only bought maybe 1 or 2 bottles, so
Yeah.
I don't really know WhistlePig at all. So I'll be interested to see.
All right, well, cheers, gentlemen. Let's
Cheers.
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 Appreciate you
Take
guys
you back to
having us.
last night. There you
let's
go.
get a taste. Yeah, right. Transported me
Salud.
to 8 hours ago.
Well, we're bouncing all over the place. I think we need Charlie back, but Charlie's in the background toasting with us as well.
That's really good.
That's smooth.
It was actually a lot more
Yeah.
smooth than I expected for my first sip, to be honest.
That is, I mean,
And
the
the gin-
burn's very forward,
right.
But it's a rye, so
but it's a rye.
You get a lot of spices for sure.
it lays on the tongue, spicy,
a little sour, right? Kind of like a sour mash?
Maybe in the back end.
On the back end?
Maybe.
and it might be my coffee might be throwing me off, but I don't have a lot of sour.
Man, I do. But again, last night
good.
was a long night, so.
What do you think, Jason?
I think It's got a good taste to it. It's
Yeah.
a lot smoother than you would expect.
I didn't think it was going to
Yeah,
be as
especially from
smooth or
100
easy
proof.
drinking as it. Yeah, I agree.
The aging
First thing.
process has definitely tamed it a little bit, but it's got a nice smooth body to it. It's good.
Oscar, what are your thoughts? Your initial thoughts?
It's not as spicy as I thought it was going to be because it's a rye. It has a lot of like fruit notes.
It does,
Fruit
right?
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say
What are you getting out of it?
I'm going to say the same thing. Like it reminds me a little bit like Scotch, where it's a little floral, right, and a little bit light, easy drinking, but still that gin, and you get that little spicy hug at the end. It's pretty good.
Yeah, the nose is throwing me off.
That's-
Charlie, what are your
the
thoughts?
front
Man behind the camera. Right?
Little
Little bit?
chocolate.
chocolate.
Let me
Little
give
chocolate?
another hit on that.
Did the nose throw you off though too? Like completely different.
Way different.
Way different.
Profile on it.
The gin. Yeah.
Yeah, gin, sweet oak.
Yes, that's right. It's like a tart sour. Yeah.
As soon as he said the chocolate,
There it
I saw that immediately at the
At
next
the,
sip.
but
yeah.
at the end, right?
At the
end,
very
so-
end, yes.
Awesome.
Oh wow.
Well, I'm excited to
It's
have this
actually
open up.
excellent. So, yeah, very good.
And as you guys know, every episode, you guys will see a glass in front of us. That's JC's glass. Fun fact: JC is actually Jordan's brother. So when
Cheers to JC.
when
real quick.
Oscar asked how long I've known Jordan,
Yep.
it's been a
Oh, my
while,
bad.
right? I think I've known you since you were like 10.
You were knee high to the grass.
They were teaching me, things a
Yeah, we
little bit
taught you
earlier than
last
maybe
time.
I should have seen
we
or
taught-
done.
we
But
taught him a-
I
we taught him a
mean,
lot.
maybe a couple beer pong games when
Yeah.
I was 14. Who knows? Always a good time.
Yeah, so we'll let his glass open up, and we leave it open on purpose because if you guys are bourbon connoisseurs, you know that one of the reasons we use these Glencairns is because you want it to open up, and we want to see how it transforms between now and the end of the episode.
Right.
Because what ends up happening is we'll have one or two of these, and then we'll take a sip of that, and it's like
Totally
if it's a
different.
good bourbon, it's a completely
Way
different.
different.
So
Typically the burn goes away, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
We're surprised. It's a cool evolution of
Yeah.
the bourbon.
awesome. All right, so today, structure the episode wise, guys. What we want to do is we kind of want to take you through, obviously, the importance of foundation, which is why we have Mr. Keefer here, and we want to break it up and kind of look at it from a seller's perspective. If you're looking at selling your house, the things to look at pre-listing to make sure that you can get the most amount of money for your home, to address any concerns, anything like that. We're going to look at it from a buyer's standpoint as well, to just kind of walk, especially like Jordan said, first-time home buyers, right? To make sure that when you see things, it's not the end of the world. And we're gonna give you guys some tips about how it may, increase property values, ROI on certain repairs, because we talk about it a lot. Like, hey, is it worth it to repair something before it becomes an issue, or is it not really big of an issue and it might be a waste of money? Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure you guys aren't
And I
spending
think
your hard-earned money where you don't need to.
Preventative maintenance, we were talking about that earlier, and something that is very inexpensive and people overlook is negative drainage.
100%.
Just putting some dirt up against your house, and
Yep.
then I'll let you take it from there. You're the expert there.
Yeah.
Yeah, preventative maintenance is the most cost-effective and high-producing addition that you can do to your home. And there's a variety of different things in preventative maintenance that can help you too. It's as simple as cleaning out your gutters,
Yeah.
adding downspout extensions, ensuring that you don't have standing water within 10 feet of the foundation. Simple things like that. Dirt wedges, positive drainage away from the foundation, preferably to 10 feet plus away from the foundation. That way you don't have saturated soils in that area. If you have flat lots, drainage, French drains, different types of avenues that you can pursue in order to get that water away as soon as possible. Making sure you don't have snowdrift buildup. Other avenues that we've seen a lot of issues with was large trees close to the foundation too. Roots
intrusion?
will cause issues. They will find a way, just like water. Water always finds a way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever you can do to get that water away, there's many things you can do as a homeowner. Maintenance tips on sprinkler blowouts, water spigots, making sure they're not leaking, sewer drains, sewer lines, main water lines, small things like that. Just making sure that you take care of your home and button up those small things when seasons change can save you a lot of headache.
Yeah.
When you say keep the water away, what would you say, like distance-wise in a measurement from the house? How far would you like to keep that, at least away from the foundation?
Yeah, a lot of times 10 feet seems to be an industry standard.
10 feet, okay.
If you can get water 10 feet away, you stand a good
Is
chance.
that like a builder code, or is that just industry standard, or
How would you achieve that? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I need some gutter extensions that are like 15 feet long. I mean, how does that work? Right?
just get longer?
Do I have to-
the
do I have
Oscar
to-
way, get
yeah.
a longer extensions.
Oscar's out there building a water slide from his
Yeah.
roof.
Damn.
What does that look like?
So there's lots of different ways to do it. A lot of those downspout extensions, the hard side downspout extensions you get from Home Depot, $5-10. You attach them to your
Save you
downspouts and
thousands
you're
of
on your way,
dollars.
and it can
Yeah.
save you a lot of money. Drains, French drains. Having a landscaper do a dirt wedge if you have a very flat lot. And a dirt wedge can be something as simple as a 10, 20, 30 degree angled wedge, encouraging water to get away. One thing that I have preached often with real estate agents and their clients is landscaping fabric. I hate it because it's a permeable substance. I like 6 mil plastic. So if I'm doing any landscaping or regrading of a project, underneath
some plastic.
mulch,
Yeah.
rock, whatever it ends up being, we pull landscape fabric out. We install a 6 mil
That's good
or
to know.
above plastic because it's a non-permeable substance. Water doesn't even stand a
notes on
chance
that.
on soaking into the soils.
Neither
It-
do weeds.
Exactly. It's a very weed-ridden substance.
Yeah. Now, is that more expensive though? I would assume,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And-
but for preventative maintenance reasons, it helps
Right.
save you a lot of money.
That makes sense.
And it doesn't allow a chance for water to percolate into the
Right.
soils.
And when you say French drain, two things. One, for the viewers, what is a French drain? And two, that sounds expensive.
Is it a drain that just has a weird accent?
No, I
Like
think it's
champagne?
eating
Oui,
a
oui.
croissant.
A croissant.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so you have many different types of drains. You have above ground drains, you have culverts, you have French drains, which is a subterranean drain. More often than not, a French drain encapsulates a 4 to 6 mil drain with rock around it to allow for the water to migrate into the drain and away.
Got it.
A pipe, right? So we're
A pipe, exactly. And sometimes, depending upon the design of the drain, it'll look like a dry rock riverbed. You can make this an aesthetically pleasing part of your property while also very purposeful.
Got it. That makes
Other
sense.
times, it's underneath landscaping and grass.
Yeah.
With just
How far
pop-ups
below
and
ground
grates.
do they typically have to dig down if they're going to go underneath or
If
something?
the drain is installed properly with the right grading to it, normally you'll stop 12 inches down and progress at about 2 degrees for every 10 feet.
Gotcha.
So that being said, so preventive maintenance obviously very, very important, right?
Critical.
But if I'm a homeowner, I am a homeowner, by the way, as I believe all of us are here. What are some signs as a homeowner or a potential seller listing the house? What are some signs to look for that would showcase potential water intrusion, right? Because in my mind, I look at it and go, okay, I have, obviously if I'm buying a house, the grading should be there based on what the plat map
Builder
says
code.
and the building code.
Yep.
But if I'm a seller and I'm looking at potentially listing my home, what are some more of the obvious things you would look for to say, hey, you know what, you may have some water intrusion into the foundation that could potentially cause issues?
Yeah, there's water intrusion and then there's movement signs.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of address
Sure,
all of them.
absolutely.
In terms of water intrusion, what you'll more often than not see is obviously wet carpets, wet walls, wet drywall, wet insulation. Shows water's been there. If water has been there but is no longer working its way in, you'll see efflorescence.
Okay.
Efflorescence is a white mineral deposit. Kind of looks like snow on your wall. And because of the hard waters in Colorado, efflorescence is left behind once water dries. Efflorescence isn't really a datable substance, so you can't tell how long it's been there, how much, but you know that water was present there. You'll
it.
see that normally around cracks that have water migration or between slabs and foundation walls.
Okay.
You'll know that water's been there at some point, and that usually is a good identifier that regrading or improvement of grading needs to be done in that
Okay.
area.
Okay.
And in terms of movement of the foundations, it's the big ones. Doors and windows opening and closing properly or sticking, or ghost doors. They open by themselves. They don't maintain their position. Cracks in drywall, cracks in walls, exposed foundation walls, bowing in floors, settling in floors, settled corners. The old marble test, like we talked about before, putting it on one side and it rolls all the way across the house.
It's probably not good.
Usually
Yeah,
not a good sign.
We were talking about that. I did a lot of that in Friendly Hills over
Sloped
in Littleton.
floors and things like that are something definitely to
Got
keep
it.
an eye out for.
That makes sense.
Now,
That also makes sense.
when showing homes, obviously homes will settle, and a lot of the times I try to keep my mouth shut, especially during inspections and whatnot. But inspectors will point out cracks going from the corners of the doors and windows, and they call that settling. Can you elaborate on that?
Like you said, every builder, every walkthrough we've ever been through for new orientation, their same line is, "Oh, those are settling cracks here and here,
Yeah.
and it's normal, and every house has them." I'd like to hear a little bit more about that
what's
myself.
your take on that?
Yeah.
In drywall, you're referring to.
Yeah,
particular?
Yeah, the
typically
drywall.
drywall. Yeah, no, not on,
Yeah.
not on. I mean, if it's concrete, then
Usually by
that's
the
a
door
different-
lines and
Yeah, you have different types of cracks that you see in drywall. You have tape and mud cracks that are just innocent cracks because they either didn't have a thick enough
They
mud
shrunk a
layer
little
and
bit too
tape
much.
layer. Tape wasn't attached properly. Completely innocent, but might scare some people if they don't know what they're looking
Absolutely.
at. And seam cracks in drywall on the ceiling and in the walls. And maybe they just didn't tape it, and it's just a seam crack. Also very innocent. Then you've also got settlement cracks, which could identify minor settlement or significant settlement. Houses have movement, but every crack does not identify you have a gigantic problem.
So that being said, let's just take it one step further, right? If I'm a buyer and I'm walking through a house, how do I identify or potentially identify the difference between a crack that is an issue versus one of those more innocent settling cracks, seam cracks, that kind of thing? Like, what would I look for?
Definitely. So
You
normally,
call Jason.
normally in
Yeah.
that
Right.
real estate
Yeah.
procedures, you'll have that inspection process with
Yeah.
your home inspectors. They know a lot of many things. When it comes to settlement and structural issues, paying that extra money to have a licensed structural engineer with the state of Colorado to come out and assess that property is money well spent.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Those third-party engineers that aren't tied to any repair companies that can work for you and give you an honest opinion that's in your benefit, it's an absolutely critical part of that
Is
process.
there a rough cost to that so they understand, like, maybe it's not several $1,000s just to make sure your structural is good up front?
I mean, it's not cheap,
What-
but
what's
it's still
the cost?
it's
And
worth
it-
it.
Yeah, it can vary on area. It can vary on size of house.
Okay.
It can vary on the firm. A lot of times expected costs can be anywhere from probably $700 to $2,000.
Okay.
That's a wide range, but that also is, are you only getting a verbal? Are you getting a written letter? Are you getting repair drawings? Are you getting site visits and compliance letters?
Interesting.
There's a lot of different factors that
Okay.
go into that cost. Making sure that you interview, just like you would a real estate agent or a client, interview those engineers. Make sure it's a good fit for you. Make sure it's somebody that fits well with your needs, your desires, and
and
your wants.
You have engineers that you know that you refer.
Absolutely. We've been around long enough that we know the good people that and the other people that we haven't met yet. I'm looking to add on to our team, but we have a list of guys that we trust their product, we trust their client experience, and we know that they're going to do a really good job.
Yeah, and I think that's
Excellent.
important because as a buyer, right, a lot of people, and we saw this, coming out of COVID,
Yeah.
with like waived inspections and people just, hey, I want to buy the house, I want to do this, and
Yep.
I need it, I need it, I need it,
It's
I need it.
quite a bit scary.
It's scary, right? And I think this is where the partnership portion for me means a lot because as a buyer, right, like it is your obligation to do your due diligence. And a lot of people just assume, hey, the due diligence is I want to do an inspection and I want to walk the house to show it. I want to walk the house before we close, and that's it. You guys have opportunity, and with us as realtors, we've got partnerships that you can utilize because if you do walk through a house and let's say you do see some of these cracks, I just personally, I usually look at horizontal cracking as kind of like that's a big no-no. Vertical cracks normally run through the seams. Horizontal cracks, if you see those, you start to, there's something going on here. Don't be afraid to ask, hey,
Yep.
do you have somebody that we can use to come out and take a second look at this? Because at the end of the day, if you're buying a house, whether it's for 2 years or 30 years or 50 years, you want to make sure that what you're buying is worth the massive amount of money. And in Colorado, on average, $500,000 or more, right, on a home. So people like Jason, his company, don't be afraid to ask and say, hey, maybe it does cost $1,000.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if it costs you $1,000 now versus, a cost
peace of mind.
$20,000-$30,000 to repair an entire foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good ROI.
It's kind of like the sewer line scope, right?
Yes.
It's going to cost you an extra $150.
But you gotta do
that's
it.
peace of
You-
mind.
you have
You
no
know you have a
questions there.
functioning sewer.
Yep.
Because if it's at the tap, it's going to be, I've seen them as expensive as like $40K.
Yep.
You know, it's peace of mind. Same with the foundation. Now, if you're a seller and you're going to list a home and you have questions, maybe call Jason, say, hey, can you come take a look at this? Is this something that I need to fix? Because we were also talking about this earlier. Getting it done prior to listing
That's a big
is going
deal.
to save you a ton of headaches and money, because they're going to beat you up on inspection or not even close.
Yeah, Jordan, what have you seen from listing a house that maybe didn't do those preventative measures? What has happened?
You know, there's always been that question, like, should you tell your clients to pre-inspect a home or do certain things in advance before listing? And the argument I always heard was essentially like, if you don't know, then you don't have to disclose,
Right.
which I completely think is the wrong way of doing business. I'm about being very direct and transparent.
Disclosure, and
And-
ignorance isn't going to hold up in court.
And I've always been the mindset of like, if you understand something, you can do something about it. That being said, if you have any incline, or if you know neighbors who maybe have had some issues with maybe structural or anything of the sort, I 100% always will recommend and advise my clients, you need to get these things checked. That way we can build that leverage within our listing presentation. Instead, we're just waiting for them to give us a contract, and they're going to hit us with the full-blown like $40,000 repair, when potentially it could be a $2,000 repair job.
Well, and I think that's a big a great point.
You
you
take
bring up.
control
Yeah.
before
Or not
in
even
advance,
closing at all.
or not even closing at all.
People
Run from structural
You could
issues.
have your moving plan set, and then the next day they bail out because you didn't know. Well, you could have known if you did, or had the right agent advising you on these certain things, because it's very, very important to a deal today. People aren't buying houses that have issues like that have major ticket items. They want things that are complete, and they want to know what they're buying. So the more disclosures I've provided, or my clients provided, has always been a better thing.
Well, and at the end of the day, I think, and Jason, you can back me up on this in your experience, but structural issues are going to show up during a transaction in one way, shape, or form, right? Whether it's the buyer saying something, whether it's the inspection report saying something, and to Jordan's point, having that, if you suspect there may be something going on before you list your house, to have someone come out and tell you. Let's say, for example, we have Jason come out, he refers an engineer, they say, hey, here's what the issue is, here's what the cost is going to be to repair it, right?
Exactly.
Well, now, in my head as a seller, I'm actually putting myself in a better negotiating standpoint.
Yes.
Because as we talked about earlier, if people see, let's say it's a $15,000 fix, right? Yes, that's a big number, but you're looking at selling your house. If you as a seller know it's a $15,000 fix, and you've got the paperwork from a structural engineer saying, hey, this is what it is, and you go to the negotiation table when you're in a contract, they can't turn around and say, hey, we're going to ask for $30,000 in concessions, because you can go, no, this is what it's going to cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Being proactive.
Yeah, versus if you don't, and they say, oh, we want 30 grand, and the seller panics because they need to sell their house, now all of a sudden you just lost an extra $15,000 in negotiating power because you didn't take the time or the effort or spend the money on getting it fixed or at least looked at before.
And at this point, you're already well into the contract.
Exactly.
You are on dates and deadlines. You have
Right.
time frames you have to hit.
And people get skittish.
you may not have the ability to get someone in there, an expert
Right.
to get in there before your inspection objection or your resolution is due. I always say get ahead of it, control it, and understand it, so you can have more leverage. The more you tell your agent, the better we can do, truly.
Speaking of skittish, and again, I'd like to know your stance. I've had buyers just run from a house when it's had foundation repairs. How solid is a house after repair? Should people run from a house that's been repaired? How likely is it for the repair to be needed again?
Good question.
That was a multi-layered.
It
Yeah,
is
that's-
very
I
late.
like to layer.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. When designed professionally, when executed professionally by a company that knows what they're doing, you don't get callbacks. When you take your time, you do it precise, you do it the way it was designed, and you make sure that it's in the client's best interest, you never have a problem. It's when people try to cut corners. It's when people try to divert from plans. That's when you start getting issues and callbacks and problems. So as long as you are doing that due diligence, you're being proactive in the process. Same like interviewing engineers. Interview your foundation repair options. There's good companies, there's okay companies, there's good fit companies, there's bad fit companies. Making sure you find somebody that suits your needs and has your best interest at heart, not their pocketbook. Those are the people you want to work with.
That's hard to find.
So what are, and we can take this from a buyer standpoint and a seller standpoint, just to kind of, like you said, peel back the veil. It's really not that scary. What are some of in Colorado specifically, some of the more common repairs that you have seen throughout your career in Colorado? And what are some, I don't want to put you on the spot and say, what do this cost? Because I know it varies.
Yeah.
But give us some of the more common repairs you've seen and associated estimated costs that people would reasonably expect to pay to make those repairs.
Absolutely. I mean, we've done so many repairs.
Yeah.
Anything from just simple crack epoxy injection, just crack sealing and repairing, carbon fiber straps, just to tie sides of the wall back together, reinforcing, to helical piers because of settlement, to tiebacks, counterforts, plate anchors because of walls moving laterally, horizontally. They vary. You can have costs that range from $2,000 up to $60,000 depending upon scope. New construction, we do helical piers on additions to help prevent differential movement. We've done a lot of that kind of different stuff. So new construction, repairs, new houses, we've done whole houses on helical piers as well. But crack repair, you could expect anywhere from probably $1,500 to $4,000 is a safe range.
Okay.
And that's to epoxy inject those cracks. Making sure that there's not water migration, no more chance of oxidization of the rebar. That's all very important to make sure you take care of that foundation wall and prevent that thing from wanting to open up anymore. Carbon fiber straps, usually you're looking at about $700 to $850 a strap. When it comes to carbon fiber straps and helical piers, structural engineers.
Yeah.
Get them involved, have a plan so we know where to put them, how many of them to put. That way it's designed based on the live load, dead loads of the house and everything for your best
What does
interest.
that look like, the carbon fiber straps? I've never seen that. That sounds fancy. I mean,
Yeah,
what
just
does
like
that look
carbon fiber on a car.
Does it make your house faster?
Yeah.
It's just like carbon
Does Paul
fiber on
Walker
a
get
car.
contracted to do it?
So all it does is it's either bidirectional or unidirectional carbon fiber strap, and it helps reinforce and strengthen the wall. So if you have a crack, normally you'll have an A side and a B side of the wall where the crack is separating. That ties those sections back together.
Okay.
Similar to a crack stitch. Just like a stitch in a wound, a crack stitch brings those pieces back together.
So it's like a suture.
Exactly.
And once those are in,
Foundation.
I would assume that, I mean, because it's now carbon fiber reinforced, you wouldn't expect to see any more movement unless you're in California on a fault line. Right?
It should not, assuming drainage is properly executed. No matter
You
what
can't be held
you do.
liable if they don't fix the problem as
Right,
well.
the root cause.
It's just going to keep on doing it if
Right.
Right.
you
Yes.
don't drain away from your home.
You got to fix the drainage. No matter if you spend $2,000 on repairs or $60,000 on repairs, making sure your drainage and keeping water away, that's your best chance for success. Water will find a way in, and it'll find a way around the repairs that we just completed. So by doing that, your repairs stand a better chance at success. Your house stands a better chance.
So you mentioned helical piers, right? What are those, and what are the scenarios that you guys? Because that sounds, as far as I
Severe.
understand it, as A, severe, and B, one of the more expensive fixes, I guess, right, from foundation standpoint. So
Right.
can you just kind of explain what that is and what scenarios would necessitate you guys or a structural engineer coming in and doing that?
Yeah, a helical pier is just a deep foundation element. It's a type of a deep foundation, just
Okay.
like a caisson that you'd see on new construction houses. Micropiles, same kind of thing. It's just different application, but same use.
Okay.
Helical piers are nice because it's limited access. I can get in within 33-inch wide fence gate. I can excavate, get down next to the house and put those in. There's no spoils, so you don't have to worry about grout overruns, concrete overruns, making a big mess, sloppy landscape disturbance. You can get in, you can get out, make it look like we were never there.
Okay.
But the biggest purpose of them is to help get down to load-bearing strata. With the moving soils at subsurface grade, that's why you experience settlement, is your house is settling due to either water migration or settling soils underneath it. And by getting down to that load-bearing strata, that then better secures your foundation from further settlement.
I actually had the opportunity. So Jason invited me. He's doing a house in Crystal Valley with, I think it was 3 helical piers. Is that what
4. Yep.
4 helical piers.
Wait a second. We all live in Crystal Valley. Are you saying that my house is going to collapse?
I was just going to say.
Hold up.
Can you come look at my house?
We'll let Jason talk about where he works most of the time, and
Yeah,
Crystal Valley's
I'm
not one
serious.
of
He
them.
needs to- I want him to go see, take a look at my house.
But that being said, it was definitely one of the more older neighborhoods in Crystal Valley. I'll say
I live in one of the older neighborhoods in Crystal Valley.
you better call Jason to your house
he's gonna- yeah,
tomorrow.
Fun fact, this was actually Oscar's house. He doesn't know yet. Surprise.
Shit.
Told you we shouldn't have gone out last night.
Right. But yeah, when I got invited there, it was just crazy. Obviously, I've heard the theory and talks and phone calls with Jason, like this is how it works and this is what a helical pier does and this is what they look like and this is the material they're made out of. But when you actually see it, it was really impressive. He showed me in the garage there was a huge separation, and within 20 minutes of just cranking that, I don't know, they were doing their fancy tricks. You could literally see the garage, reattaching and sealing, closing that gap, and then the alignment of the foundation just slowly being measured, and you could see it in real time. I was just thoroughly impressed. So thank you
Sure it
for.
wasn't my house because my garage literally.
Well,
Yeah.
so no, that's a
is
good point, though, Jordan.
dropping.
I'm glad you brought that
I know
up.
it's
So
the flat work, but
Yeah.
from a real life, example. So what in that specific house? You don't need to give us an address or a name or firstborn, but that specific house, what necessitated the need for helical piers?
is it an Opal Ridge?
No.
Okay.
No,
It is not.
it's a
Not my
I shouldn't
Windflower.
say windflower though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a great case study for something like this in the buy-sell transaction, even though they aren't listing their home, at least not yet.
Not yet. We're working on that.
This house, due to the location and where it is topography-wise, had a lot of water next to that area of the foundation, third car bay garage. So that settlement of the foundation occurred, pulling the roofing slightly away from the remainder of that garage when that foundation settled.
Wow.
We came in, we
So
installed
was
the
it settling down and
kind of tipping slightly
And
away.
that's crazy. When we talk older neighborhoods, I think mine is one of the oldest there, and
Yeah.
it's 07. So it's not that old.
It's not that old.
It's
No,
not that
it's
old.
Yeah.
Depending upon environmental factors, drainage, doesn't matter the age of the house. I've seen houses in Denver
Brand
that
new
were built
builds.
in the 1800s that are perfect. You've seen houses that were built in 2022 that I've done work on.
so basically this house, it was settling and was pulling the roofing away from.
It was settling away from the remainder of
from
the
the
house.
remainder of the house.
So,
So
we,
you guys-
we installed helical piers against that foundation, and this was the perfect application. We actually lifted this foundation up to bring it back up
crazy.
against
He
the wall.
put a
Dude,
shelf
that's
under
crazy.
it, and it was just pumped it up, and it was
So-
just crazy to see. Yeah.
What is it similar to like maybe mud jacking and stuff like that? I mean, I don't.
It's mud jacking on steroids.
Okay.
That's a
In
good
mud
way to
jacking,
compare it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it looked
Polyurethane
like.
lifting, compaction grouting. More often than not, that's slabs, which is
Right.
not a structural component of your home.
Right.
Right.
We are grabbing the foundation of this residence, and I've done it on larger residences before, where we've lifted them up about 4 inches
Dang, that's insane.
and tried to get to a relatively
That's
as
crazy.
much as practical level.
And yet
So-
somehow the pyramids got built by hand.
Right. I mean,
Like that's crazy. So
It's not.
how long does that process take?
No.
Like in this example.
That whole job, from start of excavation to backfilling compaction, took 4 days.
And how much did it cost?
4 days?
4 days.
Wow.
Yep. And that one, you were probably
That's
right in the range
fast.
of about 14 to 20,000.
So we got. I want to.
I mean, 14 to 20,000 lift your whole home.
Well, but so I want to make this
That's
point.
crazy.
So it was a 4-day from excavation to finishing, $14,000 to $20,000, right? To be said, and it essentially brought the house back together, is how I'm understanding it.
Correct.
And it stabilized the foundation. So again, all other factors being controlled, you shouldn't see that issue going forward.
Correct.
Now I'm going to kick it to Jordan. So Jordan, in your professional opinion,
Yeah.
as the listing agent, what does that do to the resale value of that house?
Well, let me flip that for a second. So I'll give you an example working with a buyer. This was actually about a year ago to the day in Littleton, which we've seen a little bit notoriously a little bit more settling and
Yep.
maybe some soil
That's
issues
my
in
old
Littleton.
neighborhood.
The bentonite they like
Maybe
to
move
talk
to a
about
different
all the time.
Like,
No.
better.
When I lived in Littleton, that's my old hood.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that.
So
Yeah.
you saw that all over
A
the
lot,
place. So
yeah.
that's the number one thing. Like
Morrison
people
and-
ask me about
and Friendly
Littleton, like
Hills.
is it gonna have bentonite? Is it gonna fall? But regardless, the house was listed as is type of sale. And just so you know, nothing's as is. Everything's negotiable. Although
Technically, though, everything is sold.
Everything
as is.
is
warehouse.
as
I
is,
meant,
but
yeah,
you reserve the
that's
right
what
to
I meant.
negotiate.
It is as is,
Right.
but then you negotiate
Right.
it. So I
Yep.
flipped that a little bit.
It's all right. We have our legal
Disclosures.
The views
Yeah,
and-
yeah,
the
we're
We've
views
already
and-
gotten sued
Char-
once.
Charlie,
We're not trying to get sued
compliance.
again.
Where's
Okay.
our compliance guy? This is Jordan Ortega, not,
Yeah.
not
That's
us. I'm
awesome.
kidding.
The speed
But
timer.
anyhow, it was listed for about 500, sitting on the market, and obviously rates were high, market was down.
Yeah.
And this is the opportunity that it can also provide to some of your buyers. And I'll talk about the selling here in a moment. But he had purchased this for 500. They weren't willing to do any work, and they knowingly knew there was settlement or some issues with the foundation. So they went into it, they disclosed it, and I told my client, like, they don't want to do anything about it.
Right.
And his first thoughts was, he talked to his dad. The dads are always telling you, like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you see cracks, you
Yeah.
just run away.
Yeah.
But I told him to hold on, and I invited his dad with us to come check it out and really give, his own eyes on it and give you my opinion and really show the value of how it actually can benefit them. So end of the story is, they actually bought the house for 500. We had Jason come out. He looked at the whole section, and he basically told me right away, like, you need to get a structural engineer out here. We can't truly tell what's going on. So he had one of his partners come over, did a fantastic job, and the whole, sealed letter of this is what it is, this is the
Yeah, they
fix, this
stamp
is
it
the
from
repair.
there.
They stamp it,
Seal.
they provide it to him and his team, and at that point, they can fix everything. Although my client decided, just like a lot of buyers, to take the concessions instead of actually getting the repair done, which I don't always agree with, but his dad owned a construction company, so
Sure.
they had a lot of resources internally. But realistically, the damage was they had, so obviously in Colorado in basements, we have floating walls.
Yep.
And that's very important so
Yes.
that we can flex with as we move and settle. Well, anyways, these folks probably didn't know better, maybe not from Colorado, but they put drywall all the way down past the floating wall. So at that point, it stopped the flexing process, which then caused the heaving. So the ground started pushing up, and then you had a little gap going down on both sides with a center piece
Yep.
that was a little bit higher. Anyways, all they had to do was cut the drywall about 4 inches down from the bottom, let it breathe and flex again, and then they had to put about $5,000 of repairs. That home today will sell for $700,000 in a heartbeat. It's on a quarter acre. It's gorgeous. They put a whole living set up in the
Yeah.
basement now that they got it fixed. They call me every day and say how thrilled they were that didn't scare them away.
Yep.
And they won, and they think they won. And I know they won. They had $200,000 of equity within 12 months. Name a job you can do that.
Well, and all
Or
that
anywhere.
you did was you partnered with Jason
And again,
utilized his network
Exactly.
to
I don't pretend to be the
ease-
expert, but I
No,
definitely
right,
keep
to
the
ease
right
that-
people in
ease that buyer's
place.
mind. So in the scenario with the house in Crystal Valley, just going back to the seller standpoint, if they were to list that house, what is that 14 to 20,000? Because again, $20,000 seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at selling your house, what is that from an ROI standpoint? Like, what is your expectation on where you can list that house once that stuff is repaired, and why?
Gotcha. So I don't have a great percentage on that, but I can tell you that house is going to list on the market with extreme confidence that if you can say that you're structurally more sound than anything around you and have proof to back that up, I would easily give you another 25 grand
Well,
or,
I think,
more
uh,
at least on the
more-
list price.
I think better worded
Yeah.
would be the marketability of the home would be it would be expected
Yeah.
not to sell if you didn't get fixed or I mean it would be a tough sale.
Yeah.
You fix it or you put that out there that it's going to cost so much, marketability just goes up. And you're going to be able to
Your
sell the
buyer
house.
pool expands,
Yeah.
and when your
Yes,
buyer pool
yes.
expands, the amount that you can sell the house for
Yeah.
is going to increase.
Now, let me ask you a question. And again, coming from a buyer's standpoint or a seller's standpoint with real estate, does your company either provide forms of financing or would you wait for closing to get paid?
Good question.
Just because,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these sellers don't have, $15K out of pocket to pay you up front,
Right.
but they'll have $80,000 in equity, and then you'll take the chunk and take it. Do you work with the clients that way?
So normally I don't do financing because it's a good way for people to get in trouble financially. I prefer to not do that. I have no problem waiting until closing to do work with people. I've done that many, many times for many different scopes: crack repairs, carbon fiber straps, occasional helical pairing of a corner, stuff like that.
Sure.
I like the real estate transaction process because I want people to understand what's going on and feel comfortable that they're not getting into something that they don't feel safe in.
Sure.
So by working through that closing process and working with the allocation of the funds through the title companies and things like that, no problem. We've been paid out by title companies many
And the
times.
way it works for our listeners is when we go into contract, either Jason's company comes in, and we've never worked with him. I'm using him as an example. Would come in, do the work because it's an inspection item, and then the equity of your home is now going to be tapped into to pay him. The title company will not, transfer title or do anything until that's settled. So he'll get a check at closing out of the settlement statement or wire, however you like. Because at the end of the day, if you don't close or don't get, the funds don't reach his pocket, he could put a mechanical lien on your home.
Well, so that I was going to ask. I was going to play
So
devil's advocate.
he's backed, but
Yeah, I was gonna
a
play
lot
devil's
of
advocate.
contractors won't do that work.
And I don't know this probably. We've all had listings that have been
Yeah.
sitting for ever right now, right?
167 days, actually.
So
Hey, we
Yeah.
sounds like
I'm at 90.
French trains here.
on a couple of mine. But no, so my question is then, let's say you do work with a title company and it is a large repair and you guys are waiting for close to get those funds. What happens if for some reason that home doesn't end up selling?
Thankfully, I haven't run into that.
I know. the only reason I
That's
bring
a
it
great
up
question.
That's
is
like our
because
worst nightmare
right
right there.
Yeah,
well,
that's
because
a,
right
that's
now,
a bad
in all honesty,
situation.
we are seeing I've
Trying
pulled
to
two
give me gray
listings
hair
in the
saying that
last
out loud.
6 months because they just were not. It didn't matter what price drop we did. It didn't matter.
Yep.
Didn't sell. So do you guys
But
have?
at the same time, from a real estate transactional standpoint, I won't have a contractor work on the contract or on the house until there's a contract on the home. So you're not going to put those repairs in while you're listed. It's just going to be pending either
I
inspection.
know. I'm saying.
So
in
that's how you
general-
would avoid that. But yeah, I mean,
they lose their job 2 days before closing, and,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they back
So
out.
what,
What do you
well,
do
yeah,
then?
what is that?
You know what I mean?
What's the
I
remedy?
mean,
like,
Guido.
They can't get a
Normally, a
I
great
know
way
a
to
guy.
hedge your bet on that kind of situation is we will come to an agreement, and then the work isn't executed until closing is confirmed.
Okay.
So between that gray area of them moving in, you
Yeah.
moving out, after contract and closing has proceeded successfully,
Okay.
then
So
we
you have
proceed
to
with
have
the work.
closing and funds in hand before you'll do the work. So it's outside
not
of
always.
Not funds.
post-closing.
Not funds in hand.
So
He's
like,
just saying a closing date confirmed.
like
Correct.
right now, I have a sewer line
Interesting.
being replaced, but my guy's not going out there until 2 days prior to closing.
Yes.
So then
Same deal.
He'll get it done,
Okay.
and he knows that we're closing. I mean, 2 days still, that's
I know it's a hard.
it,
It's a
it
hard
could
question,
happen.
But
It could
like I said,
happen. I've
we've-
seen deals
yeah.
fall
Yeah.
apart the day of
Yeah,
closing.
but you got to assume the best.
But you got to hedge your bets.
Dude,
and then,
I've had one listing that has been under contract 4 times.
yeah, well,
yeah,
Okay? And
my-
has failed every
my
single
town-
time.
my
You know what I'm saying?
townhome.
So it's an
Third time's
important
the
thing,
charm,
and that's
hopefully.
the only
Knock
reason I
on
wanted to
wood.
ask because
we see both extremes.
it is
We do,
very
yeah.
good to know that either as a seller or a buyer, you know that the work is going to get done, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like worried about until close. So,
We've had some transactions where the contract has fallen through.
Yeah.
We don't complete the work yet
it.
until
Okay.
that is through closing.
Awesome.
Both parties agree to everything, and then you're on your way.
all right, perfect. All right, so
which is a great thing because a lot of people will not. They're scared. I don't want to call structural
No, agreed.
engineer. It's a deal
Agreed.
breaker.
No,
but to
it's a
hear
big-
that,
yeah,
hey,
it's
you know
big.
what? You have equity in your home, which most people should have.
right.
Get it taken care of. Your house is now solid. You could sell it, and you have that peace of mind.
All right, so last question before we start to wrap up. And this has been super, like, so much. I've learned so much right now. Helical piers are just. Like,
It was
Carbon
cool.
fiber
It
on my
was
house.
cool.
I just want
yeah,
carbon fiber
the
on my house.
fact that you
even
can
if I
wrap
don't
your
need
house
it.
in carbon fiber and this man can lift the house 4 inches is just insane to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could educate you about how helical piers started, but that's
Bro,
another podcast.
I was gonna say that would be like a whole we need another bottle.
Yeah,
But
2.
let me ask you this, Jason. So we obviously
Hold on. So let me ask, how were the pyramids
Yeah.
made then? I mean,
so we know Colorado is huge as far as out-of-state people coming into Colorado. Why? And you can kind of as succinctly as you could. Why do we see so many foundation issues in Colorado specifically?
Soil composition.
Okay, so talk us through what that means. Like if I'm somebody that's moving out of state, right, and I'm moving from like I don't know Kansas, where either you don't have basements or you do, but nothing moves. Like, and I'm coming in first time in Colorado. Why is that, and is it as scary as it sounds?
It's not scary, and it happens everywhere.
Okay.
There's foundation repair companies in Nebraska,
Yep.
Kansas, Missouri, Florida, Virginia, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Utah. They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're there for a reason because it happens everywhere.
Okay.
This is not the only place this has happened, and it's not the only place that it will happen in the future. As long as you do your due diligence, like we talked about before, you embrace that preventative maintenance, and you operate by reaching out to people who have your best interest at heart, all this can be resolved.
Okay.
And making sure you don't delay it because you don't want to think about it,
Right.
and you attack it immediately can save you a lot of money.
So the Colorado soils in specific, though, how do they vary versus, say different, states? Like, are we known for more soft soils, clay soil? What's different about that?
Colorado is unique because it's got different soils in which part of Colorado you're in.
Interesting. So you have different
Watkins,
sectors.
all out east. Parker, it's
Hugo?
very sandy. Once you go towards west, Lakewood, Carroll, Arvada, Thornton,
Middleton.
all up in that range, you've got clay stones. You got sandstones down in Castle Rock and Castle Pines. So your soil compositions vary. And with that, they bring different interactions on how houses react. So that's the big thing, is just making sure you have those structural engineers familiar with this area who can educate you on what your house is doing. Is it heaving? Is it settling? Is it a slab? Is it actually the foundation? So you can address that problem efficiently.
I mean, I think that, if anybody's watched Dumb and Dumber, right? And they think they're
Who
driving
hasn't?
to Colorado and they don't see any mountains and they say, that John Denver's full of shit, right? People don't understand when you have 14,000 feet high mountains being uplifted
Yeah.
from nothing, it shifts everything in the entire state, right? We're talking about moving a house 4 inches,
Yeah.
not mountains being made from tectonic plates shifting.
Plate tectonics.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're gonna see it all the time.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that makes sense, right? So it's not scary, and if you guys see it, the whole point is talk to somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Reach out.
Pardon my language, but
I mean,
reach
what
out.
about? I know the topography in the mountains is ridiculously different from here in town.
Yep.
Does that figure in cost as well?
It can. It absolutely can. You've got a lot of rock up there.
Yeah.
So installation, access, due to slope, everything can influence cost.
Sweet.
I've had somebody reach out to me up in Granby, so I need to look at her house as well, over there by Winter Park. Everything
I love
has
Granby.
a different niche and quirk
So you're
to it.
everywhere.
I go everywhere in Colorado.
Awesome. You're like me. I mean, we talk east. I've sold in Hugo. I don't know if you know where that is.
Yep.
It's over by Lyman. These guys give me crap. I've sold, I think, 50% of that city's. I sold 2 houses down there.
So 50%.
There's like
of the city.
10.
There's
Grand
Yeah,
Junction to
that's
Cheyenne
everything.
to
That's
Pueblo,
everything.
all over the place.
Awesome. That's
we've,
good to know.
We've done parachute facilities in Watkins. We've done all sorts of things.
Sweet.
Okay.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey,
Well-
we're gonna wrap it up a little bit here.
Before we go, you are now my guy.
There it is,
I don't
right?
have a foundation.
He's
repair
the
He doesn't
guy.
have a guy.
The
Now he's
guy.
got
And
a guy.
I
Thank
lost.
you.
I had this old timer that would do my foundation certifications, and I think, I don't mean to sound morbid, but he might have died.
He might not be
I
alive
don't know.
anymore.
He was old, so
You may need to get
He's
Jason over to
gone,
your
yeah.
house
A
quick.
helical pier may have fallen on him in a very tragic
he's not
accident.
around anymore. He stopped taking my calls, so I think
That's
he either
probably good.
retired or
No, he
Yeah.
is the
He's
helical
old.
pier.
He
He's,
ain't
he's
around.
holding a house up right now.
he's old.
All right, so for you gentlemen,
Yes, sir.
what we like to do is we are going to move into what's called our One Rock Takeaway.
Okay.
And the One Rock Takeaway is essentially what is your biggest, point that you want to make sure viewers and listeners pay attention to based on the conversation that we had. We suck at it, but we want to make it as succinct and compact as possible.
Yeah.
And since you guys are brand new, Oscar, I'm going to let you go first so they kind of have an idea of what we do. But essentially, we want to make sure, let's wrap everything up and say, hey, this is the thing that I learned about it that's most important.
As well as in everything we talk about, it's having the right contacts. And I don't have a structural engineer or a structural company. And it always comes up in the podcast, and I know this podcast is what it's for, is honesty.
Yep.
Honesty to the consumer.
Cool.
That's mine.
Mine is, it sounds scary, but it's not scary. And the knowledge is power. So it is very, very important that you guys, if you have questions and you see something when you're either about to list your house, you're going to buy your house, talk to your realtor, hopefully us, right? If not, talk to your realtor and have them give you people that you can interview to come out and give you their honest professional opinion, and then you can make that decision going forward. Jordan?
Yeah, I think it really boils down to the education piece. It's not something that we should actually run away from. We should educate ourselves and get in front of it and use it as your leverage instead of, waiting till the ticking time bomb happens and you're kind of SOL. Like, that's the wrong attitude. To win, you get ahead of it, educate yourself, and know what you're dealing with.
I like it because it might be your dream home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It should not be a reason not to get that home.
All right,
Everything
Jason,
can be fixed.
What's the thing you want people to take away?
Operation with ethics and morals. It is
Boom.
not
Bingo.
about
That's
what
everything.
you know. It is about who you know.
Yep.
And reinforcing and relying on those connections that you can trust will operate in ethics and morals. Nothing's impossible.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I've learned a lot. And I'm also glad that we're tasting this whiskey.
No, this was a great episode because I needed a connection like this.
Yeah, no, this is amazing.
That's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely.
So now,
We win together.
now comes the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Everybody's been waiting. We want to know what we are rating this WhistlePig
Okay.
on a scale of 1 rock to 10 rocks. And just as a reminder, 1 rock is the best, 10 rocks is the worst. Reason being, the worse the whiskey, the more ice you need to water it down. We go on a scale of 1 to 10. Oscar and I and Charlie have been doing this for 70 goddamn episodes. So
75.
we're a little bit pickier. So I'm going to let you gentlemen start
Yeah.
and tell me what you guys think. Jordan, what's your rating on WhistlePig Piggyback 6-year single barrel?
Okay, so piggyback. Usually WhistlePig's very rye heavy, very spices, this and that. I definitely didn't get that. I would never use this as like a old fashioned per se. I think it drinks great neat. I think that gin gives it a nice touch with the gin aged barrel. It's pretty smooth, actually. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like funky. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
I agree.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
when you hear gin with bourbon, like I'm
weird.
a weeded
It's a
bourbon
weird-
type of
yeah,
guy.
it's a weird-
I was thoroughly surprised and happy. I would have to give this probably a 7.
Okay.
Wow.
No, sorry. 1's the best.
Yes.
One's
Right.
the best.
I apologize.
Seven.
I will
I
I was
have
like,
to.
wow, we've only had a few
I
sides. Like,
apologize.
this was trash.
I apologize.
This is garbage.
If you flip that, I would give this a 3. That's what. I
I'm
was
very impressed that
going
it
with.
sucks.
I was impressed with this bourbon, but it was fucking garbage. I'm done.
Dude, it
Pour
sucks.
it out.
All right, so we got a 3.
I forgot the number
Jason, what
metric
about you?
system around here.
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
I'm more of an Islay Scotch guy, so
Yeah.
it's a different profile
It is
that I'm
okay.
a huge fan of. I'm
Yeah.
a campfire kind of flavor. Overall, the smoothness of it, the bite of it, how it's minimal, and the overall profile, I would probably be at about a 3.5.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
All right. Oscar, what's your
First of
crazy
all-
palate think?
Doing it in a gin barrel should be blasphemy. Because gin and vodka almost took out bourbon. Stupid Bond effect. But anyway, I'll let that slide. It opened up nicely. It was sweeter, on the sweeter side for the rise.
Agreed.
Like I said, I don't know WhistlePig that well, and I really enjoyed most of the WhistlePigs that I have tasted. This one was no exception. I'm going to go with the 3. I know we always say that rye should have their own category. This was just all around great bottle. It was a solid 3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. It opened up, but I almost feel like it lost some complexity.
Yeah,
As
I
it
could see
stayed
that. But
open? it
the bite is usually my
Yeah.
part of my
Yeah.
profile. And
It goes away kind of
it
quick.
goes
you're
away
right.
and it kind of sweetens up. Making an old fashioned would probably be too sweet. I
Agreed.
agree.
Now,
Right now.
Now, when we first
beginning.
cracked it, it's
Yeah.
a different story, right? My concern, not my concern. I think this would be a great. We always talk about like how would this appeal to like a beginner bourbon drinker, and a lot of beginner bourbon drinkers will shy away from ryes because they're very spice forward. They're a
Yes.
little bit.
There's a lot.
They're a little.
They
harsher.
come in
They're
kicking.
like the IPAs.
I
Yeah,
think
they
this
kick.
would be a
great entrance.
a good entrance to a rye,
Yeah.
especially on like a single rock.
Yeah.
Right,
Plus,
to water that down because initially it was much harsher.
Right.
But now, an hour in or 55 minutes in, it's opened up and the chocolate that Charlie pointed out
Yeah.
has really started to kind of take over that palate.
Definitely.
And the rye portion of it has kind of simmered a little bit. So I think it'd be a great beginner rye. I'm trying to think of the other ryes we put at like a 3, and I don't think I can put it there. And only because I think it lost, it gained sweetness, but I think it mellowed to the point where it lost complexity. So I think I'm closer to like a 4.5.
But it was very unique for being
Very
a rye.
unique, very
Considering
unique.
a rye,
But
it's
I-
very unique, which
I
is
think-
cool. I thought that
yeah.
was
and
nice.
that's why I gave it a
Yeah.
good. It's the drinkability.
It's a good.
is-
It's a great drinker.
It was
I
a good
just-
surprise.
I was hoping that we always talk about complexity. I like it when bourbons kind of evolutionize as
Sure,
you drink it.
sure,
And I think this one kind of went the opposite way, but it became an easier drinker.
Sure.
Which is great. I'm just a snob. This man doesn't even remember tasting 20-year Pappy last night, so his opinion means nothing.
Right now, my
gosh.
opinion means dirt.
But yeah, so I'm gonna go 4.5.
Question: do you think if you're not a big fan of gin, would you still enjoy that bottle?
I don't know, dude.
I
The
get
nose-
a heavy
the
gin
nose-
on it on the nose.
The nose threw me off.
I smell that gin pretty heavily up front.
You know,
I'm gonna kick it to the audience real quick, and by audience I mean Charlie. What do you think?
Yeah, come over
Come
here.
on,
Get
come on,
up
buddy.
in here.
Come
Charlie's
on.
been-
What's up, everybody? I am with Jameson on it. I think that this one kind of died out a little bit on its complexity over time. At first, great complexity, great breakdown of different flavors. But as it aged, as it stayed open, it definitely lost its complexity. So I'm a Jameson. I think I'm gonna do it like a 4.3, 4.4.
Hell
we
yeah.
have wait. I'll re-rate it if I can
Nope,
get a
you
cost
can't.
on it.
Nope,
no,
nope,
the cost.
No,
Stand by it.
that is.
What is the cost? $25 a pour.
Okay,
5.
not bad for pour. Do we know what the bottle retails for?
I'd imagine
I think
89
it's like
bucks.
89 bucks.
If it's
90
over,
bucks.
if it's over,
That's what I would put it at.
$80.
It's under
It's
100.
a 5.
It's under 100.
If it's
about
like
90.
60 to
Can I go
80
back to
bucks,
my 7 rating?
three,
No, I'm
three
just
and a
kidding.
half.
I
It's a
actually
90.
enjoyed it.
It's a
No, it's a good bottle. I like it.
I think it's
I like
pretty
it.
decent.
It is good, yeah.
I
It's an
drink it
easy
compared to the
drinker.
stuff
Yeah, I'll drink anything.
I'm
all
not
right?
going to pull this bottle out when I'm like Christmas Day,
Yes.
fireplace rolling. That's not
Right.
happening.
That's not happening.
But
That's
it
an
is a
Islay
pretty,
Scotch.
pretty
Perfect
decent
situation.
I mean, if I'm
daily
at the
drinker.
Catalina Wine Festival,
That's
you know,
right.
Yeah,
There
I
you
mean,
saying.
Awesome, gentlemen. Well, hey,
Thank you.
thank you guys for coming on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Jordan, I'm glad it's only taken me 2.5 years to get you on this podcast. So
I'm
I'm
here.
glad you finally were like, hey,
We're here.
I'd like to be on the podcast. Jason, your information today was absolutely fantastic. And I think we could probably do like a 3-hour long form podcast.
Oh, we could-
Yeah, there's
yeah.
more I
Just
want to
part
add.
we
two,
could
Part
roll.
3.
We could
Yeah,
roll.
just about structural engineering. So
Gotta come
I'm
back.
excited. We'd love to have you back if you're willing to. I think this is
100%.
phenomenal. Very, very good information. As always, guys, you know, we'll give the contact information for the podcast itself. We are the Mile High Perspective, living in Colorado. You can find us on YouTube. If you want to email us at any point in time, resotr@themilehighperspective.com. Let us know what bourbons you want to drink, what questions you guys have. Like and comment. Let us know how you guys think we're doing. If you guys want to reach us directly, phone call or text 720-584-3361. And at the end of the day, the whole idea is to give you guys contacts. So I'm going to start with Jason. Jason, if people have
How can they get a hold of
questions,
you?
how can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you? Give me your website, your email, your phone number.
OnlyFans.
Let the people know.
We're all over the place. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Best place to find us is 303-471-1155. That's our office phone number. It goes straight to my cell phone. Always happy to help any way I can. Call me, text me. Let's get that problem fixed.
Yes.
Website to get additional information is rmssco.com.
Beautiful.
Just revamped it. Looks gorgeous.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
And if you guys need another phenomenal realtor contact that I can personally vouch for, and Oscar can personally vouch
I'll
for.
vouch for him. He's a good dude.
Jordan Ortega. Jordan, where can they find you, man? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my cell is 720-338-8147. I'm again with Remax Professionals. I got Facebook, all the different social medias. Really not going to be that hard to find. Just Google. So yeah,
True.
He said, Google me.
Google me.
The man with the good hair is
Yeah.
what I like to call him.
I just cut it all off too.
Oscar, what
I'll be
about
back
you, man?
next year with the
I
better
don't
hair.
have hair. Oh.
You don't have hair. Where
that-
can they find you, brother?
Pull that hat up
Oscar
a
at
little bit.
realtor.com. Oscar, the realtor CO, across the board.
Awesome. And you guys can find me, as always, the Colorado real estate guy, anywhere and everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, basically any social media.
Any
Let us
bourbon
know.
bars, too,
Any
probably.
bourbon bars at night after
Nuggets
a Nuggets
game.
game. You know what I mean? We'll be there. But yeah, we'd love to have you guys join us. If you're in town, you want to get a hold of us, come meet us at the Rouge. We'd love to have a pour with you. But until next time, gentlemen, I really appreciate it. Awesome episode.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Thanks,
Appreciate
gentlemen.
you guys having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.